It's going to get worse before it gets better. That might not sound like a very hopeful thing to say, but it's a very accurate description of what's going on in today's gospel. In today's gospel, Jesus is doing something that most of us are not able to do, at least not at the moment. He's visiting someone else's house. And while he's there, he raises this guy Lazarus from the dead. For Jesus, this is the beginning of the end. For ironically, Jesus' raising of Lazarus is one of those acts that directly contributes towards his downfall. This action, more than anything else, done in full view of the scribes and Pharisees, causes them to realize that they need to waste no time in getting rid of Jesus. And so that's exactly what they do. Over the next 2 weeks, as the church journeys towards Holy Week, we see in all of our scripture readings that Jesus' number is most definitely up. Yet, and this is a very big yet, for those whose eyes are open, and that's not very many of them in the gospel, this Jesus' raising of Lazarus is a sign of hope. Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life." And for those who are observant, he's giving them today a little taster of what that new life might be. Over the next few traumatic weeks, even Jesus' disciples forget this. But that doesn't change the reality of what Jesus is promising, that there will be resurrection, that there will be new life, and that if they stay faithful to Christ, they will not be disappointed. So here we are now, just over a week into our house arrest, so to speak. And over the last few days, I think perhaps there's been a much greater sense that we're all, as the Pope said on Friday, in the same boat. Whether you're working from home, whether you're isolated at home, whether you're working in one of the essential services, whether you're ill at the moment, our experience of this season will vary. But one thing that we all have in common is that we don't know what the future will bring. Will things get better? Or will things, as we've seen in other countries, get worse before that they get better? We just don't know. Today's gospel is, for all of us, a sign of hope. It's not a sign of immediate hope, and it's not a sign of hope that God will come tomorrow and take all of this away, much as we might desperately wish that she would. But it's a sign of hope for us who realize that we might be in this for the long term, that goodness, that joy, that life always wins out in the end. And so our challenge is like that of the disciples, to stick faithful to Christ on the bumpy road that will unfold in front of us. So what does that sticking faithful to Christ look like? How can we do it? Well, it seems to me that there's three things. First of all, to stay connected to God. Stay connected to the Mass, stay connected to the church, stay connected to the life of our parish, by every means at your disposal. And try to make prayer a part of your life, perhaps more than you've ever done before. Stay connected to one another. By one another, I'm thinking of our families and friends, those people who we live in the same house with. We might see them all the time and they might annoy us and we might get rather sick of them from time to time. But make the most of your time with them, because this time won't last forever, even if at the moment it feels that it does. Then there's our family and friends who we don't live with. If you end up getting a crick on your neck from spending so much time on the telephone, well, that's probably a good thing. And then there's our neighbours. By now, every one of us should know who our neighbours are, and we should know who they are, and we should be able to understand each other's needs so that we can be there for each other, and so at this time that no one is alone. And then there's those who we don't see, those who are perhaps less fortunate than we are. Consider supporting the food bank, consider supporting CAFOD. And finally and thirdly, stay connected to joy. The coronavirus is a very serious thing, but our mental health is very serious too. Stay healthy, eat healthy, get plenty of exercise. Make sure that you stay connected to other people, as I said. Make sure that there's time to laugh and to smile and to enjoy some leisure activities too. Go out if you're able to and take a walk. Be careful of the way in which you take in the news and social media. And try to keep an eye on other people to the same end. As I said, we don't know what the future will hold, but what we do know is that Jesus is with us, that we're not alone, and that there will be resurrection and that there will be new life. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay kind.